From the Audi Performance Desk at MetLife Stadium, welcome to Pregame Central, presented by the United States Virgin Islands. Visit the U.S. Virgin Islands, where you will fall naturally in rhythm.
Good morning and Merry Christmas. The New York Jets finished their 2023 home schedule today against the Washington Commanders. Eric Allen out here in the tailgate zone with Anthony Beck, Quincy Enunwa, and two-time former Pro Bowler Eric McMillan. EMAC, good to see you.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas. AB, let's set the stage right now. Jets 5-9, Commanders 4-10, both teams out of postseason contention. What's the message inside that locker room as the Jets prepare to finish their home slate today?
Well, you know, the fans look at this. It's an entertainment business. They want to see the team. They're going to be mad if you win because they want draft picks. They're going to be mad if you lose because it's the same old Jets. Well, you know what? Players are in this thing because it's a business. They're getting paid to play. If you don't go out there and perform, guess what? That paycheck doesn't come the following year. So a lot of these guys on this team have a lot to prove, continue to prove, because all intents and purposes next year, that's going to be the year. They want to be back on this roster. So, again, going out there, performing well, performing at a high level, catching the coach's eye. And what happens is in these last couple games, younger guys that didn't play as much, they get some chances. Here's your opportunity in the small window to put something in the coach's eye.
Speaking of chances, EMAC, Trevor Siemian getting his first start of the season today.
Yeah, man. This is an opportunity, you know, for him to come out and show the world, you know, what he can get out there and do. You know, during the 5-9 season is really the time where you can establish character. You know, your character is really based on what you do during this time. You know, if you're 9-5, okay, your character's pretty much established, but, you know, the real mark of it, the true mark of an athlete really comes about, you know, during tough times. And this ain't the kind of season that we expected to have. You know, this guy's got to come out. He's got to perform. That's what he's paid to do, and that's what we expect of him. And we're looking for consistency.
Eric McMillan led the NFL in interceptions your rookie season in 1988. You were a Pro Bowler in 88 and 89. What I'm watching here down the stretch, Quincy, is increased reps for some of these Jets young players who are not only part of the team now, but are going to be part of the foundation in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. AB kind of hinted to it a little bit about, you know, this is about your check, about your future. But honestly, you think about this kind of like the third preseason game back in the past, right? That was the game where guys will go out there and try to play as much as possible and as hard as possible, because you never know. You might be on this team this year or you might be on another team next year. But if you don't put good film out there, then you're just ruining your chances anywhere you go. Right? And there was reports about, you know, who's going to be here next year and who's not going to be here. I think what's important for you as an individual player is, what am I going to do to make sure I'm still in the NFL next year?
Eric, what did you think about the messaging from Aaron Rodgers this week? Obviously, he was activated to the roster. He's not going to play down the stretch. But with that being said, during his weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee show, he said, hey, I want to be a Jet in 2024, but beyond that as well.
Well, I like what Aaron Rodgers said. You know, the fact that he wants to be a Jet, he's going to be here next season, and he wants to be here, you know, says a lot. My personal opinion, you know, Aaron Rodgers came here to win a championship. He came here to perform. Unfortunately, that was cut short. At this point in time, 5-9 season, he's one of the best. He's always been my best quarterback out there.
Really?
Always. And 5-9 season, to put him out there, I don't really see the value of putting him out there in the 5-9 season. So I don't think he should play right now.
I want to get to where you're dialed in the games. Yeah. You've been in a few games live and you watch this team. The secondary for the Jets, obviously much acclaimed. Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed. Two-part question. What do you see from those guys that maybe folks don't really, they're great, they do, but what exactly pinpoint each of those two guys that you see clearly that defines them? And what's wrong with the DB play in general in the league that's different than maybe the way you played the game or the way you were brought up in that position?
Oh, that was a heck of a two-parter right there.
You're one of the better. I mean, listen, you talk about coming out with a bang as a rookie. You did that, boom, right out the gates. You were an impact player. You're welcome, by the way, for that.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Help me out, though. I know numbers, not necessarily the name. So DJ Reed is what number?
1 and 4.
Number 4.
Sauce is 1.
Okay. I know
DJ's
Sauce.
4, yeah.
Okay. All right, Sauce. Let's start with him. Sauce, his technique is amazing to me because he is the only cornerback that I've seen in the league that can effectively, consistently play with his back turned to the ball when the ball's coming in on a high flight. Okay? He plays the ball excellent. Yeah. And I asked him in training camp, when I came to training camp this year, I said, how are you able to get away with putting your hands on the receiver, okay, without getting the flag thrown on you every single time? I see other DBs putting their hands on the receiver's hips or whatever, and they get called for a flag. Right. Believe it or not, I know how to digest film a little bit. I run my film back at home. I run instant replay back. This cat is always looking back for the ball. He's always in a great position where he can touch the receiver. As long as he's got vision looking back for the ball, he's right on point. And that's how he's able to do it. And that's what he told me, too. And he said he's going to keep doing it until he gets a flag. The other guys, number 4, I like the way they play, man. They're aggressive. They swarm. They're in spots when they need to be in spots, but the only problem, to the last part of your question, that I see with defensive backs today, all these DBs' vision, man, they're looking at the quarterback. And you got cats running right in front of their face, and they don't even see him. And when they cross their face, and I'm talking about a safety, or it could be a corner who's looking in the backfield, when they cross their face, the receivers are wide open. They never even saw him because they're staring at the quarterback. So my message is, stop looking at the quarterback. The quarterback's not throwing to you. He's throwing to the receiver. So if you're in zone and you got a receiver running through your area, get married to him until he leaves your area or until the play is complete.
E, why are they doing that?
I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah.
The coaches ain't telling them this.
Yeah.
I tell my high school players that I coach high school, my high school players don't make the same kind of mistakes that some of these cats in college and the pros make because I give them necessary information and I make them dial in on it. And I got 2 guys in the pros right now, okay, who listened. 2 out of millions. What
about the guys? I see a lot of DBs that are in position, got their back, they're running, not grabbing, and then the ball at the point of where the ball is about to hit and you're in perfect position to make the play, something happens.
Panic.
And they get a foul, or they don't get their head around. Is that a confidence thing up to that point, or is it that takes away from the technique that they know and that they're being coached, or is it just a standpoint of that's the key element of what separates great DBs from the other guys?
It's I consider it a technique thing and an experience thing. Number one, you got to play in a stadium like this or like Florida State or some of these Nebraska, some of these big stadiums that got big lights up there. When the ball is in the lights and you're looking back and you get vision of those lights in your eyeballs, you can't see anything.
Man.
Okay? So you got to have some experience in order to play these kind of techniques. It's experience and it's a technique. You got to be close enough to a receiver on a downfield pass to know that when the ball's actually coming in, when it's officially coming in to the receiver's hands, 2 things are going to happen. One, his eyes are going to dilate. They're going to get real big when that object is coming towards them. That's a key factor that tells you the ball's actually coming. The other thing is going to put his hands up. You got to know where to put your hand in his hands or rip an arm down so he makes a one-handed catch, if that's what the case is going to be. But once again, if you're not close enough to touch him, he's not covered. So it comes through experience.
Q had those contacts that made his eyes not dilate.
Yeah, right.
He was ahead of his time in that time.
Listen, you were with us in 2016. Revis was here, and now you had a chance to watch him as well as Sauce in practice. Do you see any similarities between the 2 of them?
Yeah, both of them have sticky coverage, very sticky. Revis amazed me because the ball could be in the red zone. The ball could be on the 5-yard line. Yes. Revis lined up outside technique. The main thing we don't want to give up is a slant. Yeah. He'll line up outside technique, and the receiver thinks, okay, I'm going to take this inside, and then he'll cut that inside off.
Smart.
Or he'll trail you on the outside and knows when to undercut, how to undercut, And he's got vision on the quarterback to know when that ball's coming. Yeah. That cat was amazing, man, because he does everything that we're told not to do, and he does it successfully. Sauce is just sticky. He's got extremely long arms. I wouldn't be surprised if Sauce's arms came past his knees, man. I mean, he's got long arms. He knows where to put his hands. He knows when to put his hands on you. He knows how to bluff guys, make you think he's going to jam you and don't touch you, and use his feet to cover guys. So they're both very sticky coverage guys.
Eric McMillan, thank you so much for joining us today. I wish we had more time with you. So the invite is out for 2024. You got to come back out.
Man, I would love to come back, man. This is so much fun, to come back, to the Jet organization and talk about the Jet organization. Because, to be honest with you, the Jet organization is the only organization I follow in the NFL. I don't watch anybody else unless I got one of my disciples out there playing.
I got you.
Yeah.
Have a great day today. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Guys, happy holidays.
Seeing you. That is Eric McMillan, everyone. Don't miss your chance to win 2 2024 Jets season tickets plus a year of free Dunkin' coffee. Text Dunkin' to 26154 to enter the Dunkin' Holiday Sweepstakes. Terms do apply. Let's go inside the bowl for game day storylines with Caroline Hendershot and Ethan Greenberg. Good morning.
Good morning, EA.
What's happening? It's kind of chilly today. It's kind of nice, though.
Yeah.
No rain. Feels like for the first time in a long time here at MetLife Stadium.
Huge day.
All right, let me tell you both something. I got to admit something up here. I was wearing Katie's mittens, and Eric McMillan said, "Are you going to wear those when we go on the air?" And I said, "I guess not, EMAC. I'm sorry."
That was a good call out by him, and even better for you for taking them off.
And I think that maybe in 2024, around December, we should invest in some hand warmers for everybody involved.
Yeah, agreed.
Well said. Ethan, let's talk about the interior play on the defensive lines for each team. I mean, our eyes typically go to the football, but if you are a real football aficionado, you want to watch the defensive tackles today.
You absolutely do. And if really you're a Crimson Tide fan, this is the game for you. Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne for the Washington Commanders. Of course, Quinnen Williams for the New York Jets. We're talking about 3 consecutive first-round picks. 2017, Jonathan Allen. 2018, Daron Payne. 2019, the number 3 overall selection, Quinnen Williams. These 3 guys shared a room together in 2016. They were all under the same staff or in the same defensive line room. Jonathan Allen's last year, Quinnen Williams' his first year. Quinnen Williams, the only one of the 3 to be selected to an All-Pro. They all made the Pro Bowl last year. And you think about this, just what they were able to accomplish in college. Each of them won a national championship. Daron Payne won 2. Each of them first-team All-SEC. 5 total between the 3 of them. 2 unanimous All-Americans. And to no one's surprise, when Quinnen Williams, when I asked him, what do these guys mean to you? He said, you know what? They mean everything to me. Coming into Alabama, not really knowing much about what's going to happen over the next couple of years while they're in Tuscaloosa. He's like, I leaned on those guys, and they mean the world to me. They played against each other once in 2019. And I asked Quinnen Williams, was there a memory you had, anything specifically that stands out from your time in Alabama? And he said, let me take you back to 2016 in Tuscaloosa. This is the play right here. Look at Jonathan Allen leap over the A&M running back. This is what he called the Superman sack. Obviously, Jonathan Allen is a fantastic player. He said Quinnen Williams was like, when Jonathan Allen made this play, it kind of changed his perspective on everything, on what was about to happen. And he said that Jonathan Allen is extremely humble, and he said that they all made fun of him, or they not made fun of him. They were gassing him up after making an awesome play, and Jonathan Allen was like, please stop. And please, I don't like this. He was uncomfortable. And I think we kind of see that in Quinnen Williams a little bit. Obviously, he's a fantastic player. He has a good matchup today against an offensive line that's let up the most sacks in the league, missing their starting center as well. And just a cool moment for Williams, Allen, and Payne.
Great last name choice there, Jonathan Allen. Okay, Caroline, how about I don't want to talk about the University of Michigan today. I want to talk about the Ohio State University and Jets young tight end Jeremy Ruckert. Can you give us a progress report?
As much as it pains me to talk about an Ohio State University alum, I guess I will do it. But Jeremy Ruckert has had the last 5 games straight, he's had double-digit receiving yards with 3 different quarterbacks. And I asked him, what has been that consistency for you? Where have you been finding that with all of the changes going on around you? He said the tight end room stresses being that guy, especially with C.J. Uzomah now on IR. He said he had to step up into that place for him and kind of take on the mindset of whatever ball comes my way, I'm going to make that play. And I asked him, like, what's that been like? And he said, I'm playing a lot more, so, you know, I'm starting to feel some of those bumps and bruises a bit more, but that's what comes with that advanced role that I wanted so badly this year. So he's excited what he's been able to do. He did say that he has seen his, I want to say, like, progress in himself in these last 5 games specifically, because he's just gotten more comfortable in the scheme a little bit, and he's been able to make more of those plays. He said for this Commanders defense today, though, they have their hands full with that interior D-line that Ethan mentioned, and the linebackers play really hard. So they have to come in with that right mindset today and get ready to take on this Commanders team.
Thank you both for that. We're going to check in here momentarily. Fans, here's your chance to participate in Pregame Central. Speaking of The Ohio State University, Garrett Wilson will have more receiving yards than Terry McLaurin. You can vote now. We will get to your answers later in the show. You're watching Pregame Central. Eric Allen, Anthony Beck, Quincy Enunwa, and my man, Tony Richardson. Great to see you, T-Rich.
Hey, it's great to be here. I didn't know I was getting punked. We started talking about all these Alabama players, and I'm an Auburn man. So I had to text
So you're
Quincy.
upset? That's not the Christmas spirit.
I'm not upset, but I'm like, Auburn, man, we don't really, especially the way they beat us this year. So, but, I let it slide, though, because now we're going to talk Jets.
Hey, maybe better days ahead, right?
What's that?
Maybe better days ahead for Auburn.
I mean, as long as Nick Saban is there, they got Melrose, and obviously that team is stacked for a while. So between Georgia and Alabama, Auburn's going to unfortunately take.
Bro. You need a QB.
We do need a QB. QB is everything.
You've been close to this organization for a long time. Did you think we'd ever be sitting here with 3 games left in this season after all the good vibes in training camp? The Jets are 5-9 and finishing up these final 3 games of the regular season.
No, I never thought that. Simply because the excitement. I used to live in Long Island City, and I lived directly across the street from the firehouse. And I do a lot of work in the community with the police officers, and those are the true fans. And there was so much excitement. I see so many people walking around with Jets helmets, Jets jerseys, everything else, and hats. So I didn't ever think we would be here. I do believe that, because you can't put everything and say if Aaron was healthy that we'd be heading to the Super Bowl, heading to the playoffs now. But I definitely think that we would probably have a better year. But, it's just kind of one of those things.
Yeah. T, 18 seasons you played?
17.
17 seasons.
Ooh, unbelievable.
You played a position, quite frankly, that if you play more than 5 at that position, you should be in the Hall of Fame, number 1, okay? I don't know why you wouldn't be, but you got my vote. It is a dying breed, though, right? Yeah. Fullbacks are not there. We do use one. Nick Baldwin is here. Just talk about, tight ends are trying to take your position. Yep. What is the difference maker for you? Why do you think it's not used as much? And do you think it should be used more, quite frankly, with some of a lot of good offenses in the league?
Yep.
49ers, they have really good success. Yep. What's your take on just, the whole movement of fullbacks and where it's at now?
Well, it's interesting because when I left Minnesota, I had just blocked for Adrian Peterson, and we went to the Pro Bowl. And then when Jimmy Ray, my running back coach, who was here, he was my running back coach in Kansas City. But interestingly enough, when I got here, not during the recruiting part of it, but when I got here, Coach Mangini said, hey, Tony, I really don't like fullbacks. And I'm like, wow, well, I just signed a contract here, but I'm here. But, the thing about it, I think it's the evolution, because the one thing that Eric would say was if you put a tight end in the backfield, he can motion, and he can go run a corner route. I can't run a corner route. He can go run a comeback, all these different things. And so I think it became predictable when you had a fullback in the game that it was going to be a running position. But now you look at guys like Juszczyk out of the backfield, running corner routes, running slants, and all those different kind of things. Ruckert in Baltimore. So I think it's just the evolution of, the spread offense. I mean, I think in this day and age, if I was in Kansas City, I'd be either unemployed or on the bench, because they're doing all the read option and everything like that. So I just think, but when it gets down to playoff time and like when the weather gets bad like this or inclement weather, you have to have a fullback, and teams will put a tight end back there. And I've seen a lot of tight ends get back there in that 3-point stance, and they go in the hole and they come back out the hole, and
they tap out because they get a stinger. They're out of the game.
Yeah, I've seen it all the time.
Yeah, fullback is. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, fullback is a crazy position, man. And you played in front of some amazing backs in your career, right? And so can you just kind of tell us what you see in Breece Hall compared to some of the guys you played with?
Yeah, interesting enough. So, obviously, me and Mr. Beck used to work together with NFL legends, and so we have an opportunity, which was great. So we got a chance through Tracy Perlman and Troy Vincent to be actually going down to the combine and get a chance to meet these young kids as they come out of college. So I get a chance to go down and work with the running backs, and most of the time it's either Warwick Dunn or Steven Jackson. And so I had a chance to really get a chance to meet Breece. And everything that you see him doing here, he was doing in college. There was a lot of confidence, but the thing about it is he's a pro's pro. Yeah. He's about his business, and he's very humble. And that's one thing I really like about him, and it's his running ability. Is I didn't even quite know he was that fast. Like, he literally is a guy that could get it at 2 yards and take it 98, which we've seen. But he has everything. He can catch out the backfield. He can run block. He can pass block. He can pretty much do it all. So he's a complete running back. The key thing is just making sure we keep him healthy.
Yeah. T, as far as today's game is concerned, what about what the Jets are facing in Sam Howell? He's been intercepted more than anybody in the National Football League 15 times. He's also been sacked more than anybody in the league 59 times. I look at this matchup on paper and say the Jets defense should feast today.
Yeah, no doubt. And so I have a little bit of connection to the Washington football team because my former running back coach, Eric McMillan, when I was in Minnesota, he coached me and Adrian Peterson. So I'm looking forward to tell him to keep throwing the ball because we might have sauce to the end zone today. But it's interesting, though, because when you start opening up and spread offense, and Anthony can attest to this, it opens your quarterback up. So a lot of times, even when the Rams were really good and they had that foul, it was getting quarterbacks hit a lot. So when you start passing the ball around the field and not keeping tight ends and backs in the backfield, your quarterback's going to get hit. And if your quarterback's looking at the sky, it's not going to be a good day.
Quincy actually said before we came on air that he thinks Sauce Gardner is going to get his first interception of the season. You think that's going to happen, right?
I think so. I mean, when you got a guy that throws that many picks, I mean, it's obviously a situation where Sauce has to know.
And there he is right now saying hello to a couple fans out there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Q.
No, go ahead. Yeah. I think he's going to get an interception today.
What do you think about Howell going against this defense and the way they attack? Because this Terry McLaurin's a proven veteran in the National Football League. You got Curtis Samuel. You got a few guys there. I think they have 5 players with more than 40 receptions. Jahad Dotson obviously played at Penn State.
You say feast, and the sacks are there, the turnovers are there, but, man, the numbers are there too. Yep. He distributes the ball. He sees the field. He hits his backs. Yeah. He can't cover everybody, man. Like, if he's on and he has a good pre-snap read, and it seems like he's doing that. Now, I'm sure a lot of those sacks were because he's held the ball and he's trying to make them big plays, but he's also made a ton of big plays too. So as much as you feel like you want to attack him and do those things, man, he could dice you up as well. And I think they can really build something around him. So I think it's going to be a challenge against him today just because of the multitude of players that he can distribute the ball to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because you look at some of the weapons they have, and they actually do run the ball pretty well. So I think the best thing for our secondary is a good pass rush, and if we're able to get to him, get him on the ground, get him rattled a little early. But like we were saying, he has a lot of weapons, and he does get the ball out of his hands pretty quick.
Yeah, McLaurin, Samuel, Dotson. Yep. Let's flip it to the other side of the ball. Trevor Siemian taking the rock for the Jets. What's your take on just Aaron Rodgers coming back to the active roster? We know he's not going to play, but he also vocalized this week that, hey, I want to be leading this team in 2024 and beyond.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I know some people were saying it's selfish because he's taking a roster spot and those things, but there's nothing like having experience, having a guy like that in the locker room, because it raises everyone's level of play. I was very fortunate to play with, 3 Hall of Famers. I played with Warren Moon. Obviously played with Troy Aikman while I was on the bench with Troy. Yeah, I was on the bench with Troy. I was on the bench with Troy Aikman. And then obviously Brett Favre. And so when you have that level of quarterback, it's different when you walk into the locker room and you see an Aaron Rodgers at his locker, or you see an Aaron Rodgers, sitting down having breakfast, and all those different kind of things. It definitely raises everyone's level of play, and I think it's great that he's around. Because even guys on defense might say, hey, man, when we're in this type of coverage, because he's seen it all. There's nothing that a defensive coordinator can do that he hadn't seen. So I think it's great to have that leadership around.
Yeah, and we got to say that Nick Bowden is back on the team. He re-signed to the practice squad, and he's at elevation, so he'll be out there here this afternoon. T. Rich, great seeing you.
Good to see you as well.
Good spot there from former Jets fullback Tony Richardson. Be at MetLife Stadium next season. Experience the action and energy of Jets Game Day. Lock in your 2024 season tickets to see the biggest matchups of the year. Learn now at NewYorkJets.com/season tickets. Fan, here's your chance to participate in today's show. Garrett Wilson will have more receiving yards than Terry McLaurin. You can vote now. It's Christmas Eve here on Pregame Central, presented by the United States Virgin Islands Tourism. Eric Allen, Anthony Beck, Quincy Anunwa, and, of course, Caroline Hendershot, Ethan Greenberg. Let's bring in everyone for a little holiday magic. Who is playing lead actor today, Caroline, in this Jets-Commanders Christmas play?
I'm going to go with Breece Huff, and that's because I think he is going to absolutely get after Sam Howell. I think that the O-line, maybe for the Commanders, is struggling a little bit. I know they have 2 offensive linemen out today, so I think it's going to be a big defensive line for the Jets this game.
Ethan, who's going to be elf on the shelf?
That's a good question. I didn't quite know how to answer this, so I'm just going to say I'm going to answer this under the premise that the player I'm about to say is just going to kind of be everywhere. I'm going to go with Quinnen Williams because I know I'm kind of jumping off what Caroline said, but to me, Quinnen Williams is a player that if you looked over the past couple of weeks, really the back half of the season, the Jets like to line him up at different spots, whether that is, in fact, at defensive tackle, sometimes lines up out wide when the Jets like to run different stunts along the front. And with the Commanders missing Charles Leno, their left tackle, and their center, both ruled out on Friday, to me, that bodes well for that guy right there. Speaking of Alabama legends, Marty Lyons also in the house, as always.
Hey, good call out there, Greens. AB, who's going to be Rudolph and be at the front of the sleigh?
You know, I think Breece Hall is in line to have a huge game today. I'm going to go out on a limb and say close to 100 yards rushing, just rushing alone. I think he is a guy that, again, has been patiently, yet probably behind the scenes frustratingly, waiting for an opportunity to get through the line of scrimmage and do his work against the second and third levels of a defense. If you want to do it against a certain defense, this would probably be the one you want to have that game against. So a little onus on the guys up front. Dasher and Dancer and Prancer, all those guys block.
There you go.
But let Rudolph get through there, and his nose is going to take him right to the end zone today against the yards.
Hey, nice job with all the reindeer, huh, Q?
Freestyle, I like it.
All right, who's going to be on the naughty list after this game?
Oh, the naughty list.
Yeah.
Okay, who's going
to get some coal in his stocking tomorrow?
You know what? I think that the naughty list will probably have to be Sam Howell. You're talking about a quarterback that this offense throws the ball more than any team in the NFL, right? So if you have an opportunity on the other side with this Jets defense, you want to get the ball from him. You want to put him on the naughty list. You want to give him some coal in his stocking tonight.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Sam Howell's turned it over more than any quarterback in the National Football League, and he's been sacked more than any passer. Young guy making his way in the National Football League. There's an older guy who's going to be making the start for the New York Jets today. That, of course, is Trevor Siemian.
Trevor and some of these other quarterbacks that are like 2B potential thirds in the league that have really done some decent things in the league. I think the biggest thing right now is just confidence. Yeah. Does he have the confidence? If he has confidence, he'll have success.
Ethan Greenberg's got the confidence. All in or not today. He is our leader, 10-4. Tell you what, Quincy Anunwa right on his heels at 9-5. Caroline Hendershot, very respectable, 8-6. Myself and the fans, 7-7. And then Anthony's still not out of that basement. I think he still has that #1 draft pick overall next year.
He's pitched a tent in there. He's not leaving.
I got something for you when my turn.
Okay, cool.
AB, don't worry. I have something for you right now. You can't fall off the floor.
It's the holidays. Be nice.
You can't fall off the floor. So you know what? You're doing great as it is.
Wow. Okay.
He's keeping those feet on the ground, Caroline. Okay, Ethan, since you are the leader, you will go #1 today.
Okay.
You will lead off. The question again is, Garrett Wilson, will he have more receiving yards than Terry McLaurin? What is your vote?
I'm going to go all in on this one, and I think we kind of talked about it a little bit. I understand that the Jets don't have their starting quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. They don't have their second starter in Zach Wilson. They're rolling out Trevor Siemian. Garrett Wilson is going up against the league's worst defense today. Terry McLaurin going up against one of the best defenses. I think that it means something to DJ Reed and this defense, seeing what Jalen Waddle did last week. The Commanders, I don't know if they'll have a ton of time to throw the ball considering the injuries up front, and they're sacked a lot. I just think that guy right there is going to get thrown the football a lot, and I think that at the end of the day, he'll have more receiving yards than his college alum in Terry McLaurin.
I'll tell you what, Marty Lyons all over Pregame Central today. How about
Maybe he's
Caroline?
Yeah.
Where are you going with this?
I'm going also with Ethan. I'm going to go all in because honestly, exactly what Ethan said. Like, I don't think Sam Howell's going to have that much time to throw the ball and to get it to Terry McLaurin. So I just think that by that alone, Garrett Wilson will have more receiving yards. And again, we don't have Zach Wilson, but they are going against the Commanders' defense, and they are the worst in the league. So I do think that is going to play a big factor in today.
Anthony?
Well, first, I just want to say to you two on the table and you two on the field, Merry Christmas. And I've been delivering you gifts the entire season, guys. Those gifts were allowing you to feel some of that power of being on top.
Yes.
When we started this thing several years ago, I've always been on top. But now that the holiday season will be taking a turn, it's time to treat myself.
Oh.
And treating myself to finish this season out, I will say not today. Why?
Ooh.
Both of these guys are going to have pretty good games. The difference is there is more explosive activity in the offense of the Commanders than I see with the Jets.
Okay.
And unfortunately, those opportunities may be the difference in the yards that will help me win this challenge today.
Anthony Beck's getting booed out here inside the tailgate zone.
Call it like it is, man. You know what I'm saying?
Just like being at home
It's
for the
not the
holidays.
first time I've been booed.
What do they call it? Pontificating? You're one hell of a pontificator. I'll say that. Listen, I'm going not today, and I kind of regret it because, again, I'm with AB, and I told y'all what happens when I go with AB. I end up losing.
Dogging me but loving me.
But, But listen, I think it's going to happen partially because of what AB said, and also just because I want to challenge these guys, right? If they're watching the show, if somebody's telling them about the show, they'll see that I voted not today, and maybe Garrett Wilson will want to give a little more yards than Terry McLaurin. But
you can challenge those guys all you want. I got to face Garrett Wilson here this week at One Jets Drive. I'm going all in. Listen, bottom line, here's the key here. Garrett Wilson is going against the 32nd defense in the National Football League. Terry McLaurin is going against the best three cornerbacks in the NFL. Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Michael Carter. I like my matchup. I'll take Garrett Wilson twice on Sunday. Fans voted Garrett Wilson as well. Let's get to the game day inactives. Randall Cobb, Dwayne Brown, Aaron Rodgers for the first time this season, Zach Wilson, Austin DeCollis, Nick Bowden, a practice squad call-up, and then Breece Hall. Bowden was called up on Saturday. It is Christmas Eve. It is the Jets Commanders. This is our final Pregame Central here inside the tailgate zone of the 2023 season. Final thoughts, gentlemen.
Yeah, listen, like I said earlier in the show, these guys, what motivates them, this and that. Truly, the guys that are going to be on this roster next year are going to play well in these last couple games. Offensive linemen, interior linemen, the young guys, if you get a chance, really do maximize it because although it's a losing season, to get on the field in the NFL is very hard. So those young players that get a chance, I hope you shine and do your best. Merry Christmas to you guys.
Q?
Yeah, absolutely. Merry Christmas. And, take advantage of every opportunity you have. You never know what's going to happen next year, next week. And let's all enjoy a good Jets game today.
No doubt.
Merry Christmas from all of us here at MetLife Stadium. And remember, next year, 2024, we will be out here again in the tailgate zone. Thanks for all the support this season. And we will see you for Jets Overtime after the game.
Crew, good job, crew. Good job this season.
Yeah. Bye-bye, Santa.